Welcome to Morning Coffee Thoughts. This is an AI-narrated reading of today's article. Sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Holy Week 2026. What kind of Philippines am I leaving my Unica Hija? It's Black Saturday. The country is quiet in the way it always is during Holy Week. Churches emptied out yesterday. The malls are still. People drove home to provinces, lit candles, watched old Jesus films on television. For a few days, the Philippines pauses, and I find myself asking a question I can't put down. What kind of country am I leaving my daughter? She's young. She still thinks this place is mostly good. I hope she holds on to that for a while. But I'm her father, and I've been paying attention, and what I see doesn't make me feel like I did my generation's part. Section 1. A country being robbed in plain sight. Start with the flood control scandal, because it still hasn't landed the way it should. In 2025, investigations revealed that out of a 545 billion peso flood control budget, approximately 100 billion was cornered by just 15 contractors. In Bulacan alone, the Commission on Audit flagged 330 million worth of projects that were either non-existent or relocated without authority. The Department of Justice recovered nearly 300 million in kickbacks. A former district engineer turned state witness surrendered 71 million. That money was supposed to keep our barangays from drowning. My daughter will grow up in a country where typhoons are getting stronger, where Super Typhoon Ragasa in 2025 was made 10 to 40 times more likely by warming sea surface temperatures, and where the people tasked with protecting communities from floods were busy gambling kickbacks at baccarat tables. The AMLC confirmed 950 million in flood control money funneled into casinos between 2023 and 2025. That's the country she's inheriting. Section 2. The numbers they don't put on banners. The government will tell you poverty is going down. And on paper, in some ways, it is. But look longer. As of September 2025, 50% of Filipino families still identified themselves as poor. 22% experienced involuntary hunger that month. By year's end, hunger edged down slightly to 20.1%, and self-rated poverty dropped to 37%. The government celebrated. But OCTA research itself noted that many households remain near the poverty line and can easily fall back. The more honest number comes from the Philippine Institute for Development Studies. 58.7% of Filipinos remain at risk of poverty when measured against the World Bank's upper middle income benchmark of $8.30 a day. More than half the country is one shock away from falling behind. GDP numbers keep climbing. The benefits don't keep up with the people who need them most. My daughter will inherit this gap. The numbers that look good in press releases, and the daily reality that doesn't match. Section 3. What she will read and whether she can. This one keeps me up at night more than the others. According to the 2024 Functional Literacy, Education and Mass Media Survey, 18.9 million Filipinos aged 10 to 64 are functionally illiterate. By 2025, that number had risen to nearly 24.8 million, close to double the 14.5 million count in 1993. 1 in 5 high school graduates cannot read and understand a simple story. Only 3 in 10 grade 3 students can read, count, and comprehend at the level expected of them. By grade 12, that number collapses to 0.47%. The Second Congressional Commission on Education has been clear about this. The crisis has been building for 30 years. The pandemic made it worse, but didn't create it. My daughter is lucky. She has books at home, someone who reads with her, internet access. Millions of Filipino children her age don't. And while billions in education funds were being siphoned into ghost flood control projects, those children fell further behind. The World Bank estimated that 91% of Filipino children aged 10 struggle to read a simple text. 91%. What kind of country produces those numbers and calls itself on track? Section 4. The sea is still ours, for now. There's a fight happening at sea that doesn't get the attention it deserves during Holy Week. Just days ago, Marcos signed Executive Order No. 57, officially renaming more than 100 reefs, islands, atolls, and features in the Kalayaan Island Group in the West Philippine Sea. China immediately threatened necessary measures and accused the Philippines of breaking international law. The DFA had just wrapped up consultations in Fujian, where the Philippines raised ongoing concerns about harassment of Filipino fishermen. This matters for my daughter's future in ways that go beyond geopolitics. The West Philippine Sea is food security. It's livelihood for hundreds of thousands of fishing communities. It's part of what defines the country as a country. And every year, the harassment gets worse. Water cannons, vessel collisions, laser incidents. Our fishermen go out knowing they might not come back without incident. The Philippines pushed back, quietly through legal and diplomatic channels, and now through naming. That's not nothing, but the pressure from Beijing isn't going away. Section 5. The lie machine is still running. She's going to grow up in a country where 67% of Filipinos are concerned about online misinformation, the highest level since the Philippines entered that particular survey in 2020, and higher than the global average of 58%. The Marcos Duterte alliance that won in 2022 was built in part on social media rerunning. It's now fractured, and both sides still have troll networks, still have vlogger armies, still have the infrastructure to flood timelines with whatever version of reality serves them that week. Pro-Duterte online voices remain prominent, and the Marcos administration has state resources to counter them, but the tools both sides use look a lot alike. The government launched Oplan Contra Fake News in March 2026. It signed MOUs with 9 newspapers. It partnered with Meta and Google. Whether any of it works is a separate question from whether the political will exists to dismantle the disinformation system that put the current administration in power to begin with. My daughter will have to learn to read information the way I learned to read the weather before a storm, with suspicion, with checking, with doubt. Section 6. Dynasties still. After the 2025 midterm elections, 71 out of 82 provinces were still led by members of political families. In Congress, nearly 80% of lawmakers belonged to political clans. The Marcos Duterte rupture dominated the headlines, but the structural grip of political dynasties on this country barely moved. There were wins. Cebu's Gwen Garcia was unseated. Catanduanes, Laguna, Marinduque saw dynastic governors defeated. 11 provinces resisted out of 82. Those 11 matter, but they're exceptions, not a trend. The system my daughter will vote in for the first time is still mostly this. Pick among families. Trapo versus Trapo. Dynasty versus dynasty. The occasional genuine alternative still needs a miracle to break through. Section 7. The tribe that gives me a sliver of hope. I want to be honest about this part too. There are Filipinos in public life who have paid a real price for choosing the country over themselves. Leila de Lima spent years in detention for standing against the drug war. Chel Diokno has built a legal career around defending people who couldn't afford to be defended. Risa Hontiveros has held the floor in the Senate on issues most of her colleagues quietly avoid. Kiko Pangilinan and Bam Aquino keep coming back after losing, which takes a kind of stubbornness I genuinely respect. Percy Sendana works in spaces most politicians don't bother with. Lenny Robredo turned a presidential loss into a volunteer movement that fed and housed people while the government figured out its next press release. Vico Soto runs a city and somehow makes competent governance look very possible. They are not perfect, none of them are, but they are proof that public service in this country can still mean something, that the Trapo mold is not the only mold. I hold on to that. A sliver, but a sliver is enough to keep the light on. What I pray for, and I mean this in the most literal Holy Week sense of the word, is that before my time runs out, I get to see their tribe grow. That the generation my daughter belongs to finds them, trusts them, and multiplies them. That these names become a movement instead of a list. That the Philippines gets to be steered, even briefly, by people who actually love it. But they cannot do it alone. That part matters, and we keep skipping it. The people have to meet them halfway, and that means doing the harder, slower work that no politician can do for anyone. It means developing a love for country that goes beyond flag waving in June and outrage posting in election season. It means breaking the habit of political idolatry, of attaching so completely to a personality that when that person fails, the whole belief system collapses. It means learning to vote for the nation, not for the family, not for the face, not for the one who gives out envelopes the week before May. It means critical thinking treated as a civic duty, not a personality trait. It means internal discipline, Showing up, following through, holding leaders accountable between elections, not just during them. It means, and this is the hardest one, a singular direction. Filipinos are not short on passion. We are short on collective will. We fight in the same direction for about 3 weeks, then scatter. The problems that perpetually hound this nation don't scatter. They stay, they compound, they outlast our attention spans. My daughter is going to inherit all of this too, the good people and the hard work required to back them up. I just hope her generation has more patience for it than ours did. Section 8. What I still believe. I didn't write this to end on despair. That would be too easy, and it wouldn't be honest. The fishermen who go out into the West Philippine Sea every morning, knowing what's waiting for them. The water cannons, the laser pointers, the gray hulls that don't belong there, they go anyway. Before sunrise. Every single day. That kind of quiet courage doesn't make the news the way a Senate hearing does, but it's holding something together that politicians keep threatening to let fall apart. The 11 provinces that pushed back against dynasties in 2025 are small, but they're real. The students and teachers demanding that education reform move faster than a congressional calendar are real. The civil society groups that stayed in the room long after the cameras left are real. They are not enough on their own, but they are there, and my daughter is going to grow up among them. She'll find them, I think, or they'll find her. That's the version of the future I'm holding. This Holy Week, on the quietest day of the liturgical year, Black Saturday feels like the right time to sit with all of it without flinching. The corruption, the hunger numbers, the classrooms, the sea, the sliver of people who refuse to give up on this place. I am leaving her a Philippines that is still worth fighting for. I just wish her generation didn't have to. That wraps up today's reading from Morning Coffee Thoughts. If this piece made you think, share it with someone who needs to hear it. This has been an AI voice narration. A personal note from the author. One more thing before we end. This is the part where I step out from behind the words. The voice you've been listening to is not mine. It belongs to an AI. And honestly, that bothers me more than I'd like to admit. I used to do this for a living. I was a radio jock. I spent years behind a microphone, talking to people I couldn't see but somehow felt close to. After that, I spent over a decade in the call center industry, where your voice is your tool, your livelihood, your identity. Then I had surgery. It was supposed to fix my sleep apnea. Instead, it damaged my throat. What came after wasn't recovery. It was learning to live with a voice that no longer works the way it used to. Speaking became something I do only when necessary, not because I have nothing to say, but because saying it costs more than it should. So I let a machine read my words, not because I wanted to, because the words still need to be heard, even if they can't come from me anymore. If this AI voice carried even a fraction of what I meant to say, then maybe that's enough.